Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here. This is episode 21 of what show is this? Authentic Conversations with Entrepreneurs. I got so thrown off because I'm so excited. It's the 21st episode on the 21st of September. And also that I have Iris Goldfeder here. Iris is a chief marketing igniter and founder of Gastove Creative, and so quickly has become a dear friend of mine. So I'm so excited to introduce her to you in this show. And as always, I'll just share, what are we here to do? We're here to have an authentic conversation. And the way that I define that is I say that it's the good in growing. It's being willing to share the growing pieces that you've been through to get to the good. And so fitting because our topic is around growing. Today we're talking about growing through it. No accident with the go and caps there. But without further ado, Iris, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And as we get started, just take us, where did this come to you, this message, growing through it?
Welcome. I don't know. First off, I'm thrilled to be here. And I had such a wide smile because I always love talking to you. And so I'm really excited to be here.
Likewise.
I was having a conversation with somebody and I was like, you need to grow through it to go through it. And that was it. And you do, because we go through so many things, and
life and business.
Life and business, right? I mean, that's what my post on LinkedIn is today, is about, relationships and business and life. But, growing through something, I think we grow through everything, but I don't think that everything we go through makes us grow, because we don't recognize it, right? Consciously. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that when we have a challenge, and now I'm conscious about it because I do it all the time.
Right.
To me, there's no mistakes. They're all lessons, as long as you learn from it. If you don't learn from it, then it's a mistake. But if you learn, it's a lesson. So, but the growing through it was what I went through with my scaling. It was, if I don't grow through it, I'm not going to get through it. So, and when I realized that I was scaling, it was, I can't curse on here. It was an SHIT, moment. It was like, oh my
I'm okay
God.
with that.
What did it usse to be? Sugar, honey,
your authentic self, Iris. Your authentic self.
You don't want me to be my authentic self on here, so not totally. So, but seriously, so anyway, I was going through the scaling, and I knew that I was growing, and it scared the bejesus out of me, because it was like, okay, be careful what you wish for, because now it's happening. And I literally had to go through it in a weekend, because I had an offer that was out there, and I realized that I didn't have all the pieces in place that I needed to be able to do the offer. And I pretty much had a meltdown. I told my wife, I don't know if I'm going to be drinking this weekend or what I'm doing, but I'm going through something and I need to do it. And I didn't drink, by the way. But what I did do was put everything in place that needed to be in place while I was panicking.
Yeah.
Even though I had, Annie Ruggles was like, don't panic. We got this. I got you. You have your village. We got you. And I'm like, okay, but I'm still type A and it has to be done a certain way. Right. So, but as it was going on, I was growing and I felt it. And so that's where that came from, was that you have to grow through it to go through it, because man, it was crazy. And then Monday morning came and I was ready to hit the ground running, because in my, crazed state, I put all the processes and everything in place and had them tested and working, and
learned what you were capable of. I want to unpack that a little bit if we can, though, because I think there were a lot of layers in there, where your mind went, I think it's interesting to me that in business, there's the hard growth, right? Can I sustain this? Especially through COVID, right? The history we've been through.
Yeah.
So there's that. But what you're describing too is the growth, or the go through growth that people, I don't know, it's kind of like Yeah, that's a champagne problem, right? Like you're growing, you have like an offer before you. So, I mean, but it's valid because then, it's like we tend to complicate the thing, whatever we're going through. Like you desire the good, then you're in the grass is green and you're like, holy shit, there's so much grass. Oh, there I said shit.
See?
Like,
okay.
why is it so
That gave me
green?
the green light. Green.
Right?
Green. I'm just going to go with your brand coloring. That gave me the green light. But,
but yeah, I think I guess, can you hit it at that other angle too? Because I think that from, the stories and what you've gone through in your business, it wasn't always scale. So what was it like before that moment? Was there a go through to grow through it before that? Like,
no,
you had to run in with COVID, so a personal part of it. So what preceded
well,
this?
COVID personally rocked my world. I mean, I had to seek my therapy. So when COVID hit, I literally, when I say melted down, I couldn't handle it. And my biggest fear was that my wife or I would end up in the hospital alone. We would die.
Yeah.
And so it's, what is it, like self-fulfilled prophecy? I had chest pains. It was a panic attack, but I didn't know it. I thought I was having a heart attack. So she took me to the emergency room and we're in the vestibule saying goodbye because I didn't know, and it was like my worst fear came true. And I, go in and they admit me and they don't admit me because there's like a COVID side. And, I'm in Lafayette, Indiana, so it hadn't hit us as hard.
Yeah.
We were still being really, cautious. We had enough cases at that point, but so they put me in the non-COVID side, and they put all the leads on me and all this stuff. And the doctor was like, after 2 hours, he's like, "You had a panic attack. Go home." And I was like, "I can go home." I started crying. I was like, "I'm not going to die in here." He's like, "No, go home." So I called Heather and I'm like, "Oh my God, come get me." And then she picked me up, and I get teary thinking about this. And she, I said, "I'm just tired of not feeling good." And, and she said, "I'm more worried about your mental health than your physical health." And, when you have that communication, right, that openness,
Yeah.
and I said, "You're right." So I was like, what am I going to do? And I didn't want to speak to a therapist here because a lot of therapists in Lafayette, not as much anymore, but back then at least, weren't very good with gay people. And I didn't want to have to go through my story and then have somebody, it was like this whole thing. So I reached out, I Googled my therapist from 20 years ago. And she was freaking there. Like I sent an email. I said, "I don't know if this is, blah, blah, blah." And I get an email back going, "Oh my God, Iris, it's me. Send me a text." And I was like, "Thank you, universe." And so I, sent her a text and we talked, I think 3 times a week for the first 4 months and then twice a week and then weaned down. But the biggest thing was I couldn't control what everybody else was doing. So, but that was a personal side.
No,
the business side was crazy because business grew.
Yeah, but how ironic is that? Like, you bring yourself to your business. So
it was, I was very hermited. So I didn't leave the house. I found an online community, Nina actually for Reap.
shout out to Nina
with her
our fellow dame.
Clockwise Productions, amazing. So I joined this like video challenge, and so now I had this community online, and it was amazing. And I met lifelong friends, through that. And then as that happened, word of my business got out, and I have national clients now. Who would have thought, right? I mean, but if COVID didn't happen, that wouldn't have happened because I would have just been in my little bubble here. But because, you're forced online, the whole world opened up.
Well, and what I love about it is thank you for being willing to share, the personal experience in COVID. And but what I think you're hitting on is so true is, one, business is not just business, you bring yourself to it, so it is the personal. But the irony that we expect growth to be this like straight trajectory, right? Like just clear, you see the light and you just follow. Like we have this picture of what it's supposed to be. But what I love about your story is the true experience usually is a mixed bag, right? Like here you have on the personal side, the relationship with control and facing, your own complexities, right? And growth. And then the business is growing. And so all is growing, but the going part of it can be as clear or as complicated as you want to make it.
Yes.
So you've been on a journey, quite a beautiful journey. So, do you think this is something that, you see with the clients you serve, like with other people? It's almost like I want to say, it's like you're on a journey in life and business, right? And you know how they say you carry a bag of rocks or whatever, right? Yeah. Like it's like, how heavy is that luggage? Like, what are you bringing with you?
I think that not anymore, because because one of the other things too that COVID did was introduce me in Nina's group to my mindfulness coach, who I've been with for now 4 years. Yeah. And mindfulness has been a game changer. Yeah. But when I meet with clients now, it's for their greater good. And is what I'm doing for their greater good and just for the greater good in general? Like, are these good business people? Are these people that are genuinely, helping people? Because I don't work with people whose values don't align with mine. I don't do it. I used to, right?
Yeah. That was a shift.
Because, and I used to because I had to, I need the money, and it's not that I don't, need the money now. I think, we're always growing, so we always, need more to be able to put back in the business. But now it's, if their values don't align with mine, I don't work with them. So there's really not a lot of baggage to bring, because it's,
I didn't mean yours. I meant, do you intersect now with clients who, because you're on the other side of it, right?
Oh, because I've been on the other side. Oh God, yeah.
You're in the good now. You went with that piece, right? Like you've learned that, and now this has shifted. But you're and what happens that's interesting is, I think you go through these things and grow through them so that you can bring that experience to others.
Anything we go through, just in general, right? We go through stuff so that somebody else may not have to.
Yeah. So do you experience like however it takes shape for, your marketing and services like that, but marketing is about showing up, right?
Yes.
So how are you helping your clients to, I apologize for my dog interrupting right now.
We get them going, and then we're not going to be talking anymore.
I know, right? She's like, I want to show up. Special appearance by Luna. No, but do you, how does this baggage show up? It doesn't have to be my words. You can reframe it. But, this growing, like what's the journey you're taking your clients on as they're growing through it? Because marketing is about attracting people and being seen. So how does this take shape as in your business? And how you are helping the greater good?
It's guiding them, right? I think that my spiritual journey is that as well, right? I guide people on their path. I think I do the same thing, with my clients, with their marketing, with their websites, and the direction that they're going in, because a lot of people think they know what they need. And it's hard for them to hear that they don't.
Right.
I've sat down with so many, clients, and they're like, well, I need this, this, and this. And I say, okay. And then I kind of put them through a series of questions. And then they realize at the end of those questions that, oh crap, that's not what I need.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm, playing like pick a card, any card. It's really guiding them to, what they really need. And sometimes it's spending less money than they thought. It's
Yeah.
not, making them spend tons of money. It's, what do you need? You know?
Yeah.
And when they realize what it is that they need, it I think it changes the trajectory of what
Yeah.
they're doing. Because they realize that there's a different way to do it.
Yeah.
So
Can you, sorry, I like, I've learned so much about you and I see the connection here of the growth, because when they come to you, they're going through something, right? They're going through it. And they're like, I need this, I need that. Like, I love how you say, like, they have this list, right? And then you see the true opportunity for growth. I love the example of the pet shelter and seeing like what it was all about. Do you mind sharing that? Like, I think
yeah,
it's a great
so it's not
example.
a shelter. They're
Oh,
they're a
excuse me.
kennel. Yeah, no, you're
Kennel.
fine.
Okay.
They're a kennel, and they came as a referral, and she was like, "We need a new website," and um, you know, it's just time. We haven't updated it in like, I don't know, 8 years or something like that. And I said, okay, and we connected really well on the phone, and she said, bring the dogs, and I was like, okay, like I've never done that before. I said, usually, like if my wife was here, I'd say yeah, and she said, well, bring your wife, and I'm like, okay. It was like this whole weird thing,
See,
right?
this
So
is personal.
it does get personal. So
Yeah.
it just so happened it was Good Friday, and Heather was off, and Heather was like, yeah, I'll come, and I went, okay, this is like the most unusual thing, because you never bring your wife and kids to an interview. I mean, whatever.
Kids, I love it. Yeah.
So we get there, and they go out, and we're, doing our thing, and we're inside talking, and I walked in, and it didn't feel like a kennel to me. The way that they handled everything, it felt like a community. And so when we were sitting down, and you get downloads, right? These things just kind of come to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I sat down, and she said, well, we want to, position our kennel as, and I said, Pat, this isn't a kennel. This is more of a community. And she just went, oh, my,
Yeah.
it is. That's what
Like,
we are.
literally, like, in the very nature of how she said, not just you, but bring the whole gang, like your whole family. Like, so yeah, it's almost like seeing them as they truly are. It's like how people
Yeah.
are too. Like, when you're going through something, it's like how your wife said to you, I'm not worried about your physical health or about your mental health. It's like
Yeah.
they see the growth potential. They see the, real opportunity. I always say, if we could see ourselves as others see us, we'd be so much kinder, right? Like, to ourselves.
See, and I always say, treat yourself like you would your best friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're so aligned. It's like stupid, but anyway.
I know. So for the person watching this, and by the way, hi Donna. Donna's on here watching. So thank you. Yeah, thank you for being here.
See who's on. I can't see who's on.
Oh, she commented, so I can see that.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah. So for the person, who watches this now or watches this later, and they are in the going, right? Because at any point in time, we're all going through something. But if they're in the going and they're not quite seeing how they can grow through it, what advice would you give to them? Whether it's the life or business, because I think you're an expert on both, Iris. So give it to us.
I wouldn't say I'm an expert on life, but I appreciate that, but not as I fall off my thing. So I'm not an expert on leaning on things. I mean, you have to get past the fear, because it's scary.
Say that again.
You have to get past the fear.
I want to make sure everyone heard it.
Yeah. My wife and I went to Disney for our 20th anniversary, and I have acrophobia. I am like petrified of heights. So it ruined I used to love roller coasters. Couldn't do them. And then I have a medical condition because of COVID, and you know all about that.
Yeah.
And so I was afraid to do things because, I was afraid. So when we went to Disney, I was like, okay, I'm getting on a coaster. I'm going to get past this. So I chose the Seven Dwarfs Mine thing, which is a
Okay.
little coaster to other people, right? And if
Yeah.
you look on my page, my cover picture, or I think my profile picture is because they take pictures and we did the photo opportunity.
On
My wife
LinkedIn,
has her hands up.
page?
She's like, yeah. And I'm like, ah, like holding on for dear life. Cause I was
Are
like,
you
I'm
talking
going to,
about on LinkedIn, your page, or where are you
no,
talking
on
about?
Facebook.
Oh, on Facebook. Okay.
On
And we'll
Facebook.
put, well, actually, let me put those up here now while we're talking about it. So here we go.
And you can
Here's
clearly
her.
see the difference, right?
Yeah.
I was petrified, but I did it. Well, then after
Yeah.
I did that, we went on the Avatar ride. The only one I didn't go on was Tron, which I really wanted to go on, but it goes from like 0 to 60. It almost does like a G-force.
Yeah.
So I didn't
Yeah.
think that would be good for my arteries. So I decided against that. But I did all the other things
Yeah.
because I got past it. But I wouldn't, if I didn't go on that ride, I wouldn't have overcome my fear. So you
And
have to get through your fear.
I love that advice. And I just have, I guess, a follow-up question on that is, do you think that fear, so like people can understand that like intellectually, right?
Right.
We often understand something intellectually before we fully embody it, right? So like, yes, okay, note to self, get past the fear. Willing your body and your whole self to get past it. Do you think that's something that people can do alone, or that we need each other for that?
Whew.
Because you've mentioned people, Nina, mindfulness community,
Yeah.
your wife, like.
I think that when it comes to that, a little bit of both. You have to look within, right? You have to look within to be able to say, like right now, I'm tensing up even because I remember the feeling, right? It was like, oh, okay, we're going to do this. And I remember walking in line going, oh shit, okay, we're going to do this. And then the car pulled up and it was like, we're doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, if she didn't push me to do it, and I don't mean push me. She didn't, she was like, yeah, you
Let's clarify.
Yes. She's no, not at all. But, she said, and she was very kind. She said, you can do it and possibly get through your fear and get over it and open yourself up to other things, or you cannot do it. She said,
Right.
but if you do it, think of what happens on the other end, the other side of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a little of both. I think it's having outside counsel, I think always helps.
Yeah.
With people that you trust, I did talk to a friend of mine before and I was like, man, I want to get on those coasters, but I don't know. And she's like, come on, you're badass. You do everything else. Why can't you get on a coaster? So literally as I'm online, I'm like, you're a badass. You can do this. You're getting on there. And Heather's like dying. She's just like, oh my God, shut up. And I'm like, I'll say it lower. And that's what gave me the courage to do it.
I love that. So the mantra, the inner voice. So
yeah.
Well, one of my, I love it. And I was going to say, one thing that I always ask is, in a situation, like, what is mine to know of this? Right. I think, that's an important question to ask if you're going through something. But I agree, fear can just stop you in your tracks, right?
It paralyzes you.
Yeah. And I think the only thing that I've found for myself, if I can offer this, is curiosity. Because if you feel fear, instead of being paralyzed by it, you ask yourself, where's that coming from?
Right.
We get into business and we think, I'm good at this. I got the skills, the know-how, I got the network and all these things. And then you realize, I brought my fears and my mistrust and my defenses and all these things with me. And so I always say, I think entrepreneurship, Yeah, it's the most
right?
beautiful journey because it brings all you with it, right?
Have you been able to hear me? I realized my mic was all the way up there.
Oh my goodness. Yes, we have, but now it's very clear.
Okay. Sorry. I'm like, what is that up there? Now for the
I
last
love
4 minutes, we're going to be like this. Yeah, I mean,
I love it, Iris. I do think you are an expert on personal advice for people because it's not about, that's the whole point of this show. It's not about perfection. Perfection is not even real. It's
no.
about, oh my gosh, I forgot this. Because when I laugh and I lean in because it's the authenticity, it's the real experience.
Yeah.
Let's
I mean,
just get rid of the show of it. I have to gracefully go through it. Well, no, I'm gonna freaking
no,
fumble.
like, what's this thing up there?
Right.
It should be down here. So,
The
I
growth
think at the end of
happens
the
from
day,
the imperfections. The growth happens from the discomforts.
yes. And I think you need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because at the end of the day, we do things. So here's like a perfect example. Um, I was out in Indy last night, and I was out with some friends, and it was a cool night. We met like Suzanne Westenhofer and Jen Kober, and like all of these people. It was amazing. And these are comedians. For people who don't
Everyone's
know
like
who they are,
Googling it now.
oh, sorry. But so my brain was like whatever, and a client emailed me 2 emails last night that I didn't see because we didn't get home till 1 o'clock. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to sleep because I have to be up in 5 hours to go to BNI. So I wake up this morning and I see an email from one of my clients. And he said, well, I want to use the group because it was his turn to do a 10-minute. I want to use the group as a kind of like a focus group for the website.
Yeah.
And I freaked out because it's nowhere near done. There was going to be a prospective client in the group.
Yeah.
And I went right to, oh my God, if this thing doesn't look right, I'm going to lose this client. So I wasn't even thinking straight. And not to mention, I literally just woke up and saw this thing. So I didn't even have time for my brain to click.
Note to self, don't check email first thing in the morning.
Do not check. And if you do, give yourself like a half hour before you respond. That's like another story. So immediately I send this defensive email.
Oh.
Well, my client's a lawyer.
Oh.
And so, oh yeah. So he'll get lawyery on me once in a while, and then I freak out. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to sue me, but he's also a friend. So I called him and we talked, and he said that because there was like a different issue, and he said, I don't even care about that. He goes, it was that email. And I said, you're 100% right. And I apologize.
Yeah.
And the fact that, and this is why I say I only work with people whose values align with mine, because if somebody didn't get who I was, didn't get how I was, we didn't have a good working relationship, that could have gone so south and so a different way.
Yeah.
But we communicated.
Yes.
And it's all about communication, period, in business, in life, in whatever you do. If you don't have clear communication, you don't have a good relationship, which is kind of what my post today was about. But, and so then I got to BNI, and, we kind of like chuckled, about it. But it was so important to look at myself and say, okay, that was not the smartest thing. And not that it was stupid, but I didn't allow myself the time to really absorb it. I had a knee-jerk reaction, and I know better.
Yeah.
Like if somebody would have told me, oh, I did this thing, I'd be like, what were you thinking?
Right.
And that's treat yourself like you would your best friend.
Yeah.
So I thought about it and went, okay, so now I know moving forward, that if even during the day, if I'm awake and I get that kind of an email, because I think a lot of times our first reaction is to be defensive.
Yeah.
Give it a half hour, not even 10 seconds. Like they say, take 10 seconds and breathe. No. Give it a half hour, go back to it. It's still going to be there, right? But it gives you time to kind of look at it, absorb it, and be like, this isn't about you. This isn't personal. because you have to take the personal piece out of it. It's not, yes, it's about the work, but it's not about you. And I made it about me. And I usually don't do that. So that was for me, it was a big lesson for me. It was like, don't do that.
Yeah.
But
oh, go ahead.
No, just to be able to have that conversation, say, hey, sorry, that was an asshole move. Sorry. Oops.
Yeah. And what I love about this, as towards the end of our interview too, is that it really, this is why I love you, Iris. Like, it's like, a lot of times when we share a story in an episode, right? Like an experience with this topic, right? So going and growing through it. And that could be put the ribbon on top. It's beautiful. And like, so life is great now. But I love that you shared, it happens in little moments too. Every day there's things.
Yep.
And it's not a destination. It's not like, oh, and now I've gone through it and I'm good and it's all grow from here. Like, it's you're in this, like, the complexity of the human experience, and no, business is not personal on one level of it. Like, it's not about you, but on the other hand, you bring yourself to it. So yourself showed up. Right. What I love about this story, and I think I would love if you want to add anything to it, but I would love this to be kind of like the true message here is, if you're going to make room for you to grow through it, you have to make room for others.
Yes.
That I think that we tend to go, God, I'm going through it. And the other person's going through something. And the other person's going through something. And their business or their life or whatever they're bringing with them. And we don't give that space, which you thankfully have that relationship. And when you base it on values, you tend to get that result.
Yeah.
But to like that shift alone, to say, oh, I might not be the only person going through it right now. Right. To give someone that 30 minutes, that breath, that break to expand into the space.
A lot of breath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, to not defend immediately.
Doesn't need to be a knee-jerk reaction. And that's what it was, right?
Yeah. But not just an email. Like you're saying, to go back to the beginning and say, okay, you can go through something, but not necessarily grow through it, which is what you said. So if you're not growing through it, you're not consciously connecting with it.
Right.
So we're back to, what is mine to know of this, and what defenses do I have up?
Right. We're all works in progress, and we're every day. It doesn't change. We are learning and hopefully learning and growing every day and evolving, and it never ends. Because I mean, if you stop learning, that's a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. And learning is not just going to school and college.
It's life.
It's the beauty of life. Yeah. Oh my God. I love it. Well, Iris, I just feel like there's so many golden nuggets, and hopefully, I mean, true to your brand, like the Chief Marketing Igniter, it's we both have fire in our logos. So hopefully we ignited something for someone here today.
Yes.
Yeah. A knowing that they should embrace. But I know people want to find you. So here's your website, Gas Stove Creative, cooking up some awesome things. I look forward to our continued work together as well.
Yes.
And I know you're offering a complimentary discovery call. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what should people do, and what can they expect out of that?
Yeah. We'll sit down. We'll take a look at what you're doing for marketing, and just make sure that it's right. And I'll give you advice, whether you work with me or anybody else. Really doesn't matter. I'll just kind of, give you a little bit of a guideline.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Iris. Any final thoughts before we let people?
No, I mean, first off, I love you to death. You've, very quickly become one of my favorite people. I just look forward to our conversations. Like we can't do like hour conversations. We have that like 2-hour conversations. They never. So this is pretty good for us.
I know.
No, I think, just give yourself grace. And again, treat yourself like you would your best friend. Like, if you find yourself in a situation, put yourself in your best friend's shoes, and what would you say to them? How would you feel about them? And that's a work in progress too. That's something that I work on every day. And just be kind to yourself and others,
Yeah.
of course. But yeah.
Yeah, it begins with you. So
Yes.
beautiful. Thank you so much, Iris. And I hope that you all will join us back next month for the next show. I will have Cindy Tysinger here on October 19th, same time, 1:30 Eastern time. Cindy is founder of Regenerous, and they became B Corp certified just last year. I was just thinking, Iris, I have to connect you too, but she's a wonderful
Right.
person, and I am looking forward to sharing her with you all as well. So thank you so much for being here. It's always wonderful to explore authenticity and your unique journey. So much to learn from one another. So thank you, Iris, and thank you all.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.